I want to go home. I want to go home. I want to go home. Have you been feeling like a chicken with your head cut off because your loved one with dementia is always requesting to go home, even though they are already at home? This typically happens during sundowning hours. However, it is just a part of the disease and it can just be an everyday situation. Most of the times I see with families, it pretty much starts a fight, if you will, because instead of them validating how their loved one feels or trying to distract with like a healthy activity or something like that, they remind them that they're not at home, but in their mind, they are wanting to go home. This can happen in cases where maybe you had to move mom and dad into an assisted living and they're remembering what home was, or they could be home, or maybe you had to move your parents in with you. But either way, the important thing to do is to avoid saying no, avoid reminding them that they're not at home, as I stated, and you want to validate how they are feeling at that time. Most of the time, we don't really know. It's kind of hard to gauge where they are in their mind mentally. Your parents could be in their 80s, but when they're stating they want to go home, in their mind, they could be in their 20s or 30s. And it's urgent that they get there because, there's usually when you're in that age group, you have domestic duties and things like that. So the number one thing, like I said, is to validate, and then you want to probe for questions. So you can ask something like, what do you plan to do when you get home? And that will actually help you to use your imagination and try to figure out how can you distract them. So mom may say, I need to get home so I can cook dinner for my husband. And you can say something around the lines of, well, mom, dad is working late tonight. So how about we just have a cup of tea or something like that, to distract them while we wait. In these scenarios, when they're wanting to go home, it's okay to tell a little white lie. I always tell my families that it's okay to tell a little white lie, kind of go along with it. Because the last thing you would want to do is to make them feel rejected, because that brings them anxiety, it brings them anger and aggression, and it's just something that you don't want to do. It could be a case, let's say, she may say she needs to get home to start preparing things for the children. And even though you are a full-grown adult, again, in her mind, we don't really know what age that she thinks that she is. So she may say, I need to go prepare the clothing for tomorrow, or maybe even cook dinner, as another example. And if it's an appropriate time, you can say something like, well, the kids are staying after school, or the kids are staying over at a friend's house, but how about let's go in the kitchen and see if we can cook up some, if it's an appropriate time for you to do that. Either way, a healthy distraction is always something that you can do. I personally, my favorite, and it works like 99% of the time, I will tell my clients, just give me 20 minutes and I'm going to go pack your bag for you so you can make sure you have all of your belongings. And I actually leave the room for a few minutes and do something else. And then I come back and I can kind of gauge if they remember, which 9 times out of 10, they don't remember. I'll come back in the room and they're like, hello, or whatever. I'm like, hello, just trying to see if they remembered or not. If they do remember, then you can always actually physically go to their room, start packing up things, asking about shirts, specifically like, you know, when you're dealing with women, we are, you know, men and women are different. You can start inquiring about shirt, like, oh, I really love this shirt. And that is just a way, again, to use your imagination and ask, how long have you had this shirt or whatever. There's usually a story to go with clothing or jewelry or something. And then you talk about that and you redirect them, and they're not going to remember that they wanted to go home. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. There are some, it just depends on the level of dementia. There are some that it'll work with and you're done with it for the day. But there are some where it'll keep coming back around every 15, 20 minutes, half hour. But I just always try to remain patient, and I give them literally the same scenario. So they're saying to me they want to go home for the 5th time. I'm going to say, okay, give me about 15 minutes. I'm going to go pack your bag. I go disappear and come back, or sometimes, again, this is depending on the day, I might just go get them like a healthy snack or something, come back with some fruit once I disappear for a few minutes and be like, hey, I brought you some fruit, you know, just make it all about them. And then they're like, oh, thank you, darling, you know, like, and they don't remember. For men, if you're asking, what do you plan to do when you get home? He may say he needs to work on something in the garage or whatever, something handy. And so then that's where you can kind of use your imagination. Think about something that's in the house, a bookshelf, the pantry, something that's not in alignment. And hey, Dad, you think you can help me with this? Just making them feel seen and heard, praising them, giving them positive affirmations, even though, you know, like, obviously you don't need help with the bookshelf, but you can just start probing for questions, and then he'll start talking about it. He'll feel, you know, very proud as a man that, you know, he's accomplished it. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to give you a story behind it, and you can redirect from that. So, yeah, just keeping your patience, healthy distractions, redirecting is the key to that, because when you lose your cool, they will too lose their cool. And it will just end up being a very ugly situation. So be encouraged. Try these things out. Again, it's different for everybody, but these things have worked for me, and I've seen it help with families as well. Because if you don't know, you don't know, right? You're just like, Mom, you're already at home, or Dad, and it's frustrating, and you know, they feel like you're yelling at them and things like that. And we always want to lead with like kindness and grace and all of that. So if you're needing more tips on this, I have a book on Amazon. It's called Really ... Can You Imagine? I will link it down in the comments. It's a super easy guide. You can finish it in like an hour, depending on how fast you read. But there's a lot of value in there that you would find, and tips and things like that. Thank you for tuning in to Kelly EDU. Be encouraged, and I will see you all next time. If you have any questions, please link them in the comments, and I will be sure to respond when I can. All right, have a great day.